This is Michigan running back Blake Corum.
It'd probably be very easy to get bored of Blake Corum, but I think that there was a lot to like with him. Obviously, only 5 of his touchdowns came from more than 5 yards away. He scored 27 of them. You want to just say he's just a product of Michigan offensive line, only 10% broken tackles, 2.4 yards after contact. All that stuff is not good for Blake Corum. But when I sat there and watched him, I really started to appreciate what he does as a rusher. I would even say like he has like teach tape type of instincts to me. I thought his vision and his decision making happened instantly. He rarely is bouncing behind the line of scrimmage. He's not going to wow you at the next level. He's not going to completely shake you to the ground either. But I think a lot of running back play is instinctual, and it's not just how fast you are at the combine. Right. It's how fast you make a decision, because ultimately this is a race to get to 5 to 10 yards, and how fast you process the information is equally as important as how bursty you are at the combine.
On top of that, running backs have to process movement extremely quickly. That is your brain, your body, your feet all working at the exact same time. And it's why, honestly, I probably factor in pure athletic profiles and athleticism less for running backs than I do with everything else, because it's one of the few, if not the only position on an NFL field that is like not a true one-on-one outside the quarterback, right? On any given snap. For Blake Corum, as you said, there is no fat to his game. There is no wasted steps. There is very little hesitation, if any. And when he goes, he goes. When he makes his decision, that's the direction he's headed in. On top of that, he can also get super small, which is a good thing, in loaded boxes and short yardage situations to find those like tiny creases for short conversions, which was really good working at Michigan behind this behemoth offensive line. Just his profile here for like who he is and what his size is: 5'8", 205, 4'5", 340, 158, 10-yard split. And still, despite maybe not the best explosiveness, he did have an 89th percentile 3-cone, 63rd percentile vert. So he still is athletic.
Yeah, and I think that the 40-yard dash 4.53 is a time that I wasn't necessarily expecting. And since he was coming off of this torn meniscus, which is a bad thing, not to have a knee injury like that is certainly a bad thing, but maybe he actually has a little bit more explosiveness another year removed from that. I think that the big thing with Blake Corum is you just got to take the context of the offense. It was definitely a good offense to be a part of. That's how you score 27 touchdowns, but he faced 8+ defenders in the box at the highest rate in college football. It wasn't even close. He had 109 attempts in these. Remember in our Jalen Wright video, I think you said he had 4 in this exact situation. Correct. Blake Corum only averaged 3.5 yards per carry on them. Well, guess what? Jim Harbaugh wants 3 yards when there's 3 yards to go. He doesn't care if there's 6 yards. He just wants the 3 of them that are available. And I think that the other underrated part with Blake Corum's game is just this experience in a ton of different types of looks. He was actually the only running back in the class to average more than 1 yard over expected on gap runs with a pulling lineman, and zone runs. He can effectively run in every type of scheme because he has like the classic Ray Rice type of style to his body. He's very low and compact. And then obviously his instincts can take over in any type of situation. So I think that he's very scheme proof. I don't think that he's going to be a fantastic player on passing situations, but that 89th percentile agility does leave a little bit more room compared to what his box scores would indicate.
Well, on passing situations, with a pro-style offense comes pro-style pass pro. And I thought he did a really good job in one-on-one situations. Cut blocks because of his height, but there were plenty of other occasions where he knew where his quarterback was and almost carried someone or picked them across the pocket and kept that pocket for JJ McCarthy. He is short, not small. Right. Again, 5'8" at 205. And it's interesting to go back through all of the running backs that have been drafted in recent years or not that are 5'7" to 5'8", because there aren't many that play the same style that he does. A lot of the 5'7", Deuce Vaughn, 5'8" guys in the last few years are like your airbacks that are all pure speed. That is absolutely not Blake Corum's game. So like Devontae Freeman is a comp that gets thrown out there a lot. I loved Devontae Freeman coming out of FSU, and obviously he led the NFL, I think, in touchdowns one season. So that is like super high end. Maybe middle is Khalil Herbert. Maybe low end is like CJ Anderson. These are all guys around that same
Mhm.
height, maybe a little bit heavier in some of those instances too. Again, his vision to work against the grain, that is there. The no wasted movement, I thought was his best trait. I just didn't see a lot of breakaway speed. I didn't see great tackle breaking. And to close out that point, of players in all of college football last year, quarterbacks, running backs that had 100 plus carries, this is all of college football. He had the 14th worst forced missed tackle per attempt rate at 0.12. So that's just not his game. He is ideal. If you have a good offensive line, he's going to pick up the yards that are blocked for you, and that's his game.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit harder to make someone miss when you're consistently running into 8+ defenders up the middle. So I think that's some of the context, but I'm with you. He hasn't shown an ability to completely make you whiff out in open space yet. The agility drills did surprise me a little bit and makes me dream that maybe in a different type of offense, he can show a little bit more than that. Some of my comps, Kyron Williams is kind of this like undersized player that runs with power that can kind of handle a whole lot. What he reminds me of, this kind of a weird comp because prime Zeke was so special athletically, but this kind of late stage Zeke where he doesn't have all the burst, but he's still doing everything right. I see a lot of that with Blake Corum. Now, obviously, Zeke's also much bigger than that. But I think stylistically, there's a little bit that to his game. I think the low end, you can get like CH, where it's like, yeah, he's making a lot of decent decisions, but just does not have enough explosiveness to make it matter. But I think he's going to be like a round 3 pick. I can obviously see him with the Chargers, but I don't think he's just that pigeonholed into that type of scheme. Just like I mentioned before, he can go to any type of scheme. I think everyone's going to really appreciate his experience. I will say this. He is 23 and a half years old already. He's obviously had a ton of work on his body. The knee injury does scare you a little bit. So he might be more of the classic rookie contract only type. But I think for the NFL draft, you're not drafting somebody so you can sign them long-term 4 years down the line. I think he's going to be a rookie contract only type of guy. But I think that's because he's so reliable. I think he will go on day 2.
What you're referring to, I believe, is he had an MCL sprain in 2022 on top of a meniscus tear in that same season. Did play, 292 snaps this season. That's the 4th most in the class. Yeah, just to talk about the situation that he was in, and we'll close out with this. He was 20th in all of college football of his percentage of yards before contact that was basically given to him. But again, you have to have the vision to maximize on those, the footwork, the processing to maximize on those. But only 9.7% of his runs were stuffed for a loss or no gain. That is the 19th best mark in all of college football. Again, some of that is him. Some of that is the offensive line. Some of that's the scheme that he played in. I really liked him. Typically, when you see a guy like this or hear about them, because I try my best to be siloed away from people's opinions, but super productive in this type of an offense. We've seen backs, with Harbaugh before, but there was an appreciation I had to how fast he made his decisions.
Yes.
And how little wasted movement there was compared to the all athletes that we do see at the position. He's textbook, as you said.
Yeah, he's teach tape. If you're a high schooler that doesn't look like Saquon Barkley, start studying Blake Corum, and maybe you can have a shot.
All right, that's going to do it. All of you, go and watch the other prospect videos that we have on the channel. If you made it to this point on this one, you'll make it to this point on the next one. We'll see you there.